always wondered why grocery stores ask the question, would you like a bag for this? No, Cheryl, I'm gonna eat my 30 pounds of dog food and Triscuit on the way out of the store. Yes, I want a bag. Under what circumstance would I want to carry my 50 pounds of groceries out of the store without a bag? I've got a bag of Cheetos, a pair of Superman boxers, and a tank top that screams, I'm insecure. No, I don't want to walk around with this outside. But that question made me wonder, if Ubisoft walked into a boardroom 3 years ago and looked around and said, do you think anybody wants to play PEEKABOO Simulator 2017? Who is it that said yes to that question? Today on Too Tall Desk, we're talking about a modern miracle. The fact that Rainbow Six Siege went from being dead in the water to being what is essentially one of the most successful games of this generation. Now, some of you are going to be in the comments saying, Rainbow Six is dead, no one plays it anymore. So let me throw some facts your way just to prove to you how successful Rainbow Six Siege is. It recently passed the 40 million player mark worldwide. That's 4-0 worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide!
Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Not only that, but it's worth pointing out a really simple and more easy to understand figure. Over June and July of this year, Rainbow Six Siege's player count jumped up 34 total percent. 34% over the past 2 months. That is over 3 years since the game's release. A 34% jump. Think that's an anomaly? It's not. Rainbow Six Siege's player count is today at its peak of its entire life cycle. This game is not dying, and granted, these are Steam numbers, but this game is not dying on PC by any stretch of the imagination. Its highest average player count over the course of a month was 83,000. Right now, over June and July, it's sitting around 81 to 82,000. That's 3 years after launch. This is not Apex Legends. There's not a giant decline. This game has steadily grown month over month for 3 years. And today we're going to talk about the 5 reasons that Rainbow Six Siege has become one of the most successful, one of the most interesting, and quite frankly, one of the best games on the market. I suck at it harder than Kim Kardashian with a video camera in her face, but hey, at least I try. And if you get that reference, kids, get off the internet. But let's jump right into this with number 1, and this one is going to be the most pertinent to me personally. Rainbow Six Siege was a total and complete failure at launch. I'm talking Iggy Azalea's rap career type of failure. I'm talking Alex Jones' ability to exercise for more than 3 to 4 minutes at a time kind of failure. There was bugs galore, cheating, exploiting, glitches. It was content deplete. There was essentially nothing in the game. And most importantly, when you got into a game, it barely functioned. The servers were awful. The frame rate dips were intense. The lag was incredible. Rainbow Six Siege was a game that came out in pre-alpha, essentially. And it was at this point that Ubisoft could have done one of 2 things. They could have taken the Anthem route and gone, let's be quiet and just kind of sail off into the sunset. We'll give you Cataclysm, but that's about it. That's all we can really do right now. Instead, Ubisoft went full throttle into fixing everything about Rainbow Six Siege from the jump. They were vocal after a bout of silence, it's worth pointing out. Not deafening silence, but silence. And immediately started addressing the immediate fan concerns. We see this time and time again with games like Anthem and Fallout 76, where the companies go, people have problems with this, but hey, microtransactions. They start focusing on ways to continue to monetize the game, or focusing on ways to keep people buying the game without fixing the actual problems people have with the issue. Take Anthem, for example. Loot's broken. Loot gets fixed with a glitch. They patch the thing that made people happy. They make people unhappy again. Rainbow Six Siege went, we hear you. We know these things don't work, so one by one, let's fix these things right away. But that's not worth talking about. I've covered that at great length. What's worth talking about is what they did after they got the game working. Thing number 2 was content. Operation Black Ice, Operation Dustline, Operation Skull Rain, Operation Red Crow, Operation Velvet Shell, Operation Health, Operation Blood Orchid, Operation White Noise, Operation Chimera, Operation Parabellum, Operation Grim Sky, Operation Wind Bastion, Operation Bird Horizon, Operation Phantom Sight. And it's worth pointing out that Operation Health was the moment where Ubisoft took a step back and went, hey, our game sucks ogre. Let's try to fix this publicly and swiftly. That is 14 pieces of content. 14 meaningful updates to this game. Some include maps, some include operators, some just fix the game. 14 meaningful updates to this game from a content perspective over the course of 3 years. 14! 3 years. If you think that's not a lot, put it into perspective. Can you name one other game that isn't an MMO or MMO light? Can you name one other competitive shooter that receives 14 content updates that you can play on your console that you pay an upfront cost for? Name one other $60 console shooter that has 14 content updates over the course of 3 years. That's not just incredible, that's worthy of praise. Ubisoft has not rested on Rainbow Six Siege. They haven't let people go, all right, I'm bored now. And there have been moments in this game's life cycle where that has occurred across the community, but they've always done an excellent job of saying, hey, here's something new, here's something new, here's something new, here's something new, here's something fixed, here's something new, all the time. There's barely a moment in Rainbow Six Siege's community lifetime where there isn't something to look forward to. You wanna know how to keep your player base playing your game? Keep growing the game. There are 4 Shrek movies. In one of those Shrek movies, a donkey, a dragon. It makes winged donkeys. No one needs to see more of that. And yet DreamWorks is putting out a 5th Shrek movie. What does that tell you? Anything that's remotely enjoyable can have a community and a fan base as long as you support that group of people. If Donkey Dragon can sell at the box office, there's absolutely no way that EA can't figure out how to make a game like Anthem worthy of new content and expansion from the moment it launches. There's no reason Fallout 76 couldn't have become a better game since its release. And actually, in the case of Fallout 76, it is slightly better. It is worth pointing that out. But the reason Ubisoft has been able to do this is the number 3 reason Rainbow Six Siege is so successful today, and that's commitment. You remember those Hallmark stores? When I was 9 years old, I was in one of those with my mother. I saw a piece of chocolate that intrigued me. So I decided I was going to have this chocolate regardless of whether mother wanted me to or not. So what did I do? I looked around, waited till the employee of the Hallmark store was looking directly at me, and slid the chocolate into the bag my mother was holding. Surprise, surprise, part-time Hallmark worker Kathy with 4 cats who just needs to get out of the house because her rose garden isn't doing as well as she wants it to, watched every second of that. But I had committed. I was going to die with a lie. Kathy approaches my mother, says, "Ma'am, your child just stole from our store." My mom looks at me. I look at this. Prove it. She goes, "Check the bag." Sure enough, my mom looks in the bag. Chocolate. My mom looks at me. I look at Kathy. My mom. I try to tell her not to steal this. She does it anyways. I had committed to this process. Ubisoft is a firm believer in the Hallmark chocolate theorem. 10-year plan. That's what Anthem was supposed to be. 10-year plan. Now, if you think EA ever intended in any way, shape, or form to stick to that, you've lost your mind. The Division probably should have been a game that just was built upon and built upon and built upon. Struggles came along the way. The Division 2 is great, but it's worth pointing out that that was a $60 purchase that's now essentially a ghost town. Ubisoft created a 10-year plan for Rainbow Six Siege. There will be no sequel. We are going to be dedicated and committed to this one game. That's what they told people 2 years ago. And sure enough, they meant it. For mostly better or for worse, Ubisoft doesn't want to cash in on a sequel that could make them a boatload of upfront money. Ubisoft does not want to spend the time to put out a kind of a half-butted sequel that to kind of push it out there and get new people to move over there and keep the community alive. No. Unlike 90% of studios working on a console front, they don't care about that. You paid $60 for this game or whatever you paid for it in its life cycle, and you're gonna get it for a long time. This commitment to one product, to one platform, to growing this one thing has allowed Rainbow Six Siege and its community to become attached to that community and to that game, and more importantly, grow with it. The pro scene has grown with it. People have been able to discover the game. People have felt comfortable paying money for it, knowing that it won't be going away anytime soon. And most importantly, people feel like they're being rewarded long term for their time. Yes, EA, it really is easy to make these kind of promises. Yes, Activision, it's really simple to make a Call of Duty game every year. But these companies make these games every year, and no, they don't have to be great. They don't ever have to work the way we want them to. They don't even have to be good games. They just have to be sold for 1 year before we can hype up the next one and say, this one will be better. Ubisoft never gave them the excuse. Ubisoft never gave themselves an out. The next game can't be better because there is no next one. This game has to be better. And Ubisoft as a publisher and a developer have rung true with number 4 reason why this game is what it is today, and that's their response to their community. Over a year ago, there was a hike in Rainbow Six Siege's price. It was a significant one. There was going to be a standard version and advanced edition that increased the price tag from $40 to $60, and the gold edition would go all the way up to $90, where the complete edition would rise to $130. No one liked this move. No one believed the standard edition price should change. So the community said so. They let Ubisoft know this is wrong. This is a game that is aging. You can't price the base model of the game higher suddenly for absolutely no reason at all. What did Ubisoft do? They reverted the price tag of the standard edition to the traditional $40. They listened and responded relatively quickly. Operation Wind Bastion was originally meant to have a bunch of aesthetic changes that would change the cosmetic system of Rainbow Six Siege. Not dramatically, but they wanted to keep the game on par with the Chinese version of its release. So everything from skulls to gambling to violence references were all going to be taken out of the release in the cosmetics of the game because Chinese media regulations would not have allowed the game to be released with that stuff in it. People were obviously upset. This is a game that had already released, already had this content in it. Some people had paid for the opportunity to get this content, some people had worked hard for it, and now it's going to change and more importantly, be censored. And that's never good. The fans let Ubisoft know, and almost immediately, what did they do? They removed the changes from the game. They said, we're not gonna do this. And why? Because we want to remain as true as possible to artistic intent. That's a direct quote from Ubisoft. They heard the fans, they heard the outcry, and they solved the problem. And they've done this throughout the game's entire life. Ubisoft has listened every step of the way, and it's kept this game rolling. And then there's reason number 5, which is the final reason. And that's just that PEEKABOO Simulator is pretty fun. It's an incredibly good game, especially as it stands now. Sure, it's got a lot of problems still. Rainbow Six Siege is not a perfect game. There's still a lot of peak spamming, which we're trying to fix. There's a lot of stuff going on underneath the surface. Not even all the bugs have been worked out. Every time a new update comes, the code changes and new bugs are introduced. The game has its issues, but the game itself, the foundation of Rainbow Six Siege, is phenomenal. It's an incredible experience that you're not going to find anywhere else, especially on consoles. So phenomenal, in fact, that I don't know how many of you watched the Call of Duty reveal from a couple days ago, the multiplayer 2v2 mode, but it's almost directly inspired by Rainbow Six Siege. From the peeking and the cornering to the basic movement system of the game. It's all very Rainbow Six Siege. Even its vibe is such. And that's kind of what the studio said was going to be one of their influences in the first place. The Rainbow Six Siege genre of gaming, this more tactical, slower shooter. And I know a lot of people think, well, it's so late, it's been so long, how am I gonna get into Rainbow Six Siege? The community, are they gonna be welcoming, blah, blah, blah. I've told this story and I'll tell this again, and not everybody's gonna have this experience. I'm not speaking for everybody, I am speaking from my experience. I hopped into Rainbow Six Siege at launch, bounced, did not like what I saw. I got back into the game at a later date. When I got back into Rainbow Six Siege to start making videos on Rainbow Six Siege, I thought I was going to be ridiculed. I didn't understand strategy, I didn't understand meta, and more importantly, you'd have a better chance of finding me in the background of an early Hannah Montana episode with my out than finding a clip of me hitting something in Rainbow Six Siege. I was not prepared, and yet the group of people I immediately ran into understood this, saw this, decided to help me, played with me for 2 hours, taught me the ropes of multiple maps and meta, and then ended up being people I played with for months after that. That's the community I've experienced, and I haven't just experienced once, I've heard it from multiple people. Rainbow Six Siege can be daunting, it can be a tough place to jump into, but it can also be a great place to meet people, to learn, and most importantly, to play one of the soundest, most interesting shooters on the market. There is something here for everybody. Right now, there's a Wild West event where you literally run around with only 2 weapons, 2 options, and a cowboy hat going off on 2 other people for, what, 90 seconds at a time? I mean, there's always something in Rainbow Six Siege for every kind of player. And that's something you don't get out of most modern shooters. And more importantly, content like that, updates like that, weird stuff like that. Look at the zombies mode. It all continues to come to Siege at paces that make sense and keep people involved. You're always going to have something to do. Yeah, that's right. There was Operation Chimera. There was a zombie mode. There was an outbreak mode, which was basically Left 4 Dead with Rainbow Six Siege mechanics. It was a 3-player co-op PvE mode that included zombies. This is not just a straightforward tactical military sim. This is a game that's going to give somebody something new on a constant and consistent basis. This may sound like an advertisement for Rainbow Six Siege. Unfortunately, it's not. It's not sponsored. But let me tell you something, Ubisoft, hey, I do like the game, so if you just want to throw me like $5 for this, hey. YouTube doesn't like me, maybe you do. It's just a genuine attempt to kind of explain exactly what I've been thinking about Rainbow Six Siege for a long time now, what a lot of people are thinking, and just kind of be a PSA. If you have yet to experience what this game has to offer, now might be the time. Or in the future, or anytime. The game's on sale constantly, like literally constantly. So find a sale, hop in. If you're disappointed, I'd love to hear about it, but that's what the point of this part of the video is. Let me know what you think. Do you guys play Siege? Are you interested in Siege? Do you like what Siege offers? Have you hopped back in and out? Are you done with it? Are you back in it? And more importantly, what changes do you want to see come to the game? What could get you to play it, and what could get you to keep playing it? Is it something like another kind of outbreak mode? Is it like this Old West update? What are the things that make you most interested in this release, essentially? Let me know the answer to any of those questions down in the comments below. It's a real conversation. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you are not yet subscribed to this channel, press subscribe. I put out videos like this and videos like other things. Sometimes they're highly edited, kind of mini docs. Sometimes they're this. It's all terrible though. So if you have bad taste, this is the channel for you. So press subscribe. Also, I'm gonna say this every video because it's really important. There's a bell next to the subscribe button. If you press the bell, you will actually be notified when I upload a video. You will actually receive a notification that I have done something with my life. A, that's really important to me. I want people to know I accomplished something. But B, it's the only way you're going to know if I upload a video. I keep reiterating this because it's really important. This system on YouTube does not work. You have to hit the bell. So hit the bell if you want more of this. Small quick update. I'm gonna keep mentioning this at the end of every video. Yes, guys, I know we're doing Too Tall Desk here. The mini docs are still gonna come. The longer docs are still gonna come. It's just an in-between thing. I also have a second channel that you can check out with Jordan, but I'll talk about that some other time. And yeah, until next time, guys, I'm out.